So it was like the very first edible landscaping. This was like in '56 or something that I haven't heard about it before. Now, as you think about it, that was the teacher just said no way, but he did say yes. And you know what happened? The following year, we had tomatoes, but students were throwing them at the cops and at the teachers and everybody instead of harvesting them. That was bad. The principal said, "No, you can't grow tomatoes. How about lettuce? You can't go bad with lettuce." "Oh yeah, you can still go bad with lettuce. People will still be throwing." And so I had I remember my mom would go to school and she would complain because what happened was okay, so they built a raised bed. So you have a big field like in school, a big field, baseball field, off the corner there, you see these raised beds. That was me. And my problem is that the school was toxic as hell. The lawn, the grass, everything was like chemicalized, right? And so I was protesting. I said, how can I have an organic garden? Here's this guy using whatever this is. And he's spraying around my garden. I'm doing you a favor. I'm going to spray the bed to keep the ants off. I'm going, what? And my mother I used to get in trouble. And the principal called, your son is causing a racket. And mother says, well, it's supposed to be an organic garden. Can't you just fence off an area and not do all the junk they have to do there to it? I mean, it was a big deal. It was like, no way you can grow this stuff. And they actually let that corner, even though, so the guy was using some, I don't know if they had Roundup in those days, but he's definitely doing something weed killer, which also came into the garden. You can smell it. I would get sick. I'm going, holy cow, And the same thing happened. So that was in junior high school, and then same thing in high school. High school was even worse because, I was a lot older, and I was actually very good in phys ed, but I didn't like any of that stuff. Again, I went to school. My criteria to go to school, my parents said, okay, we're going to move over here. And you get to pick one of these schools. I said, well, which one will let me do a garden for phys ed? That's the one I want. Two of them said no. One says, okay, we'll make you can come over here, continue doing your garden thing. And it was really cool because I did vegetables. We had a really nice, it was like a miniature community garden because people would come around and have a garden there too. And that was in I went to service in 1968, so it was in the late 50s, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62. It was really cool because I had lots of girlfriends. They thought it was really cool. Andy's into gardening. That's good. That's manly, And I didn't do it on purpose. And so I had a lot of customers, and I would tell them, I remember distinctly, I was just thinking about the other day, I charged $25 an hour. During that time, that was ridiculous, right? Right? It was, why are you charging $25 an hour? Who do you think you are? And I would say, take it or leave it. That's what I want, And I'm telling you the truth. To this day, what I did was every 10 years, I charged $10 more per hour. So guess what? Where I'm at now, I charge $200 per hour for my time. Now that's where I'm at. I stopped adding $10 every 10 years because after a while you go, well, that's enough. So that's how I got started. My mother, they would send me. It was really my mother's fault because during the summertime, I lived in New York and then we moved to Miami. And being Puerto Rican and Cuban, in New York, they always wanted me to be on the Puerto Rican gang or the Cuban gang, and the American people wanted me on the American gang because I was born there. So I fought all three of them. It was like, and I said, don't get me cornered with 3 or 4 guys. I'll beat the crap out of all of them, hitting them the wall, slamming them against the wall. Come on. And my parents said, we got to get this kid out of here. So they moved to Miami, right? And in Miami, you didn't have the gangster things like that anymore. So it was really different. But I got to go into the gardening business. That's how I got doing gardening. And when I got out of the service, I kept on doing it. I didn't have the name Invisible Gardener until 1970. That's a whole unique story there. There's several different versions of it. Hi, who's cheering at me? Who's Marshall? Somebody likes me. Hi.
You're going to get a lot of that.